Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to show you how to make the roasted pork belly, or the Chinese called the Siu Yok. Firstly, I got this pork belly from a local butcher and it is quite large. I used a knife to scrape off any impurities or dirt on the skin and cut off any nipples that you come across. I've also trimmed down to 3 portions and saved the other 2. Followed by the first step of using a tool called tenderizer to poke the skin. Please poke gently and do not poke too deep into the skin or else the crackling will burst in the end. You can see the holes is almost non-existent, but it is there. Step 2 is to rub a thin layer of salt across the skin. Salt will help to draw out any excess moisture under the skin and also reduce the porky smell. Repeat this process 3 times alternately every 10 minutes. After every salting process, I pat dry the skin and reapply the salt. Moving on to the dry spices, I mix 2 teaspoons of Chinese spice powder, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, half teaspoon of chicken stock, and 2 teaspoons of ground white pepper. Give it a good mix and use it according to your taste and preference. After you have done the salting process, you can start scoring the meat and apply the dry rub. I scored the meat lengthwise and 1 inch apart. Do not score too deep into the meat. I scored approximately half an inch deep into the meat. For the spice mix, I went an extra mile and applied some Chinese rice wine into the meat prior to the spice mix. This will enhance the flavor and reduce the porky smell. Rub the spices all around the meat evenly and into the scored area too. Don't forget to rub the sides as well. Please do not rub on the skin side or else the skin will not puff up in the end. However, a tiny amount like this can be rubbed off with a paper towel. After you have completely cleaned the skin, you need to apply a thin layer of vinegar on top of the skin. I introduce the vinegar using only my index finger. Make sure to apply as thin as possible. The acidity of the vinegar will prevent the growth of bacteria on the skin while it is being air dried in the fridge overnight. After you have applied the vinegar, you need to make sure the skin is being stretched outwards and the meat tucked in. This will allow the shape to be set during the drying process in the fridge. On the next day, the skin will look darker than before, and it is a good sign. Prepare to wrap the meat with aluminum foil and expose the skin area. Make sure to wrap it tight so the salt won't fall at the side of the meat. Try to get it as tight as possible. You will need to layer rock salt prior to cooking. The salt crust will protect the meat and also renders down the fat and also drawing out the excess moisture even further. Please remember to preheat your oven to 200 degrees Celsius. After layering the salt, you can proceed to put this meat into the oven for 40 minutes. After 40 minutes, you should remove from the oven and remove the salt crust using a knife. Please be careful because this is very hot. Try to remove as much as possible so the meat won't be so salty. After you have removed the salt, you should transfer the meat into a new roasting pan. Apply a thin layer of sesame oil because this sesame oil is to enhance the flavor and also to help with the crust to form better. After you have applied the sesame oil, transfer back to the same oven with the same temperature for 35 minutes. And there you go, the crispiest pork belly. I know it is very tempting, but Please make sure it is fully rested for about half an hour before cutting in. Cut along the scored area until you get a long strip, and cut those into chunks and enjoy with some white rice or pair it with a stir-fried veggie. Thanks guys for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell icon to get video updates.